Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I am going to be giving out this dress to a lucky winner. Check the description box below this video for more details. This is an 8 to 9 years old measurement details, and I am going to be using some of this for this tutorial. The chest is 28 and will be divided by 4, and I am going to use 7. Waist is 26 divided by 4 is 6.5. Knee, shoulder to knee length is 28, shoulder to T length is 34, shoulder to full length, that is your ankle, is 42, shoulder to shoulder 11.5, shoulder to waist 12.5. Your hips is 28. I am not going to be using this for this tutorial. Shoulder to wrist is 12.5, that is your sleeve length, and armhole depth is 6.25. Your wrist measurement is 6 inch, that is the circumference of your wrist. Now moving on, to start off this tutorial, fold your pattern in half, take a marginal line at the top of your pattern, and we will take our measurements from there. Now shoulder to shoulder is 11.5 divided by 2. I just took 6 inch right there, and I would come down by ½ inch for my shoulder slant. Right there I will take my armhole depth, which is 6.25 inch, and I am taking 3.5 for my neckline in width and 3 inch in length for the neckline. Now take your bust measurement divided by 4, which is 7 inch, and 1 inch for seam allowance. Now I will take my shoulder to waist, which is 12.5. Right there I will place 6 inch for my waist divided by 4 and 1 inch for that, and 1 inch for seam allowance. Now I'll just connect all the lines. Now I will just divide my armhole by 2 and come in by ½ inch right there, and I will just connect my armhole curve. Now I would also come down by ½ inch for seam allowance at the bottom. Now place your tape rule right there at your waist measurement and find the midpoint, and right there we will place our dot lines. You can see me marking ½ inch on both sides, and I will be taking 5 inch upwards for my dot length, and I will connect my dot lines. Now you can just go on and create a little curve right here just to avoid that sharp edge, and just cut out your pattern. As you can see, I forgot to add my shoulder line, slant line, and you can just go on and add the line there and just cut it out. Now your front pattern is ready. Now for the back, also fold your pattern in half, place your zipper allowance 1.5 there, and your marginal line at the top. Now once you're done, place your 6 inch for your shoulder to shoulder and ½ inch for shoulder slants and your armhole depth. Now I am just taking my bust measurement and seam allowance. Just like we did for the front, I am also going to take 3.5 in width for neckline, and I come down by 1 inch for the back neckline. Now go on and place your shoulder slant line. Now next thing, I am taking my shoulder to waist, which is 12.5. Take your waist measurement, 1 inch for that, and also 1 inch for seam allowance, and also your bottom seam allowance at the bottom, and also create your curve right there. Place your darts. Now place ½ inch at each side of your dart line, and the back dart is going to be higher than the front dart. Like I used 5 inch for the front, I am going to use 6 inch for the back. Now I just divided my armhole, and I will connect my back armhole curve, and next thing is to cut it out. This is going to be my back pattern. Remember to cut out the zipper back, so you have 2 pieces for the back. Now I have about 16 yards of tulle net, and I have a zipper and my lace for the upper bodice and my satin. and also my lining. My satin is 2.5 yards. My lining is also 2.5 yards. Now I will go on and fold my satin in half, and I will go on and fold again in another half. Now here is the method I use to get my flare right. I will divide my waist, which is 26 inches by 6.28, and that would be 4 inches, and I would add 1 inch for zipper allowance, and that would be 5. And as you can see, I am marking 5 inch from the top of my folded fabric, and that would be my waist measurement. Now from that line, I will be taking my lower body's length, and that would be my T length, which is 34, minus my upper bodice, which is 12.5, and that would be 22, and I would add 1 inch to it for seam allowance hemming at the bottom. That will be 23 inch, and that is what I marked all the way around for the length of my lower bodice. Now as you can see, I am adding ½ inch right there for joining to my upper bodice. Now I will just go in and cut this out. Now once you have a full flare, remember to cut open your back, your center back, because this is where your zipper is going to sit. Now I would go ahead and cut my net the same way I cut my satin. I will fold it exactly the same way, and I would also cut it exactly the same way. Once you have a full flare, also remember to cut open your center back. That would be all. That would also be where your zipper is going to sit. Now for the lining, I would cut it exactly the same way I also cut the satin, but the only difference is the length is going to be about 2 inches shorter than the satin. It's going to be 2 inches shorter. Now fold your net like this. Now I am going to take about 18 inches from the folded edge all the way around, and once I am done, I am going to cut this out, and I am going to have a cone shape. But once I open it up, it's going to be a full circle. Now I am going to go on and cut about 4 of these cones. Now I am also going to cut a smaller one of this. As you can see, this is about 13 in length, and it's a smaller circle. Now for your ruffles, eyeball about 3 inches on your folded net and start cutting out. Now we are going to go back to our pattern. Place your pattern on your fabric and notch the dot lines. This way you're going to be able to know where your dot lines are on your fabric. Now once you open it up, you would have your dot lines on each side, and we will just place the lines like this. Now also do the same for the back. Notch your dot lines and also your zipper allowance line. This way you know where your zipper allowance line stays. Now what's left is to connect the lines. And you will also do the same for the satin and also the lining. Now it's time to sew. Put your lace over your satin and sew the edges up. Now do the same for the back also. Now we will just sew our dots. Now once you're done stitching your dots, place the back fabric to the front fabric. Now stitch the shoulders up by 1/2 inch. Do the same for your lining piece. Join the back fabric and the front fabric shoulders by 1/2 inch. Now once you're done, place the fabric and the lining together, and from the zipper seam allowance, sew by 1/2 inch all the way to the other zipper seam allowance and stop right there. Now on your armhole, also join your armhole by 1/2 inch and do the same on the other side. Join your lining to your fabric by 1/2 inch from neckline to armhole. Now once you're done doing that, make sure you create your notches. Now it's time to turn your fabrics inside out. Now you can go on and give this a nice press and also make a top stitch if you want to. Now next thing we will do here is start creating our ruffles. As you can see, I added one piece to another piece and another piece, and that will be 3, and I would add another piece again, that would be 4. You can go on and make it 6. You can make it as many as you want. It depends on how full you want your ruffles to be. Now my stitch length is at 4 and my stitch is at 0 and my tension is at 3 because I want this to sew very loosely. And I will go on and start gathering my ruffles on my nets. It's okay to stop and rearrange and make sure everything is okay on the net, then start sewing again. As you can see, I stop along the line and readjust the nets and keep sewing. Now just add more tulle along the way and keep sewing. This way you will have a very long strip of nets to work with. Now you can see the ruffles, you can see how beautiful it's looking, and I am still going to go on and make so much more of this. Now moving on, place your ruffle on your nets, the flay of your nets, and I am going to sew all the way around the bottom. Now you can also go on now and fold over the bottom part of your satin, or you can overlock it. Now this is the flay for my net. I am done adding the ruffles at the bottom, and I will just go on and join the waist to the waist of my satin, and I will stitch the edges together. Now for the small circles we made on our nets, we will add our ruffles to the edges all the way around it like this, and sew and add the ruffles at the edge. Now we would also do the same for the bigger circles. And we will sew all the way around it like this. Now once we are done doing that, now I will just go on and start adding the bigger circles, and I will fold it in a high-low kind of way, as you can see, and I will start pinning on my satin, and I will do the same for the rest. I'll start pinning at the waist and I will pin all the way around it. Now I would go on my sewing machine and place stitches at the waist right there, just to hold the ruffles to the waist. Now, as you can see, I went on and added more ruffles to the bottom part of my flay for the net. I added one more ruffle to it. I didn't like how it was looking. Now get the smaller circles and start adding it to the waist. And I will keep adding and pinning right there at the waist. You can see I am also making a high-low kind of style, and I am pinning this way. It's going to give you a nicer shape. Now you can see how what I did. I am taking a little bit more and I am pinning at the waist right there. You can go on and restyle it and do whatever you want to it. It's not a must to do what I am doing. Now take this to your sewing machine and join the ruffles to your waist. Now fold the front fabric to the back fabric and the lining to the front lining and stitch all the way from the fabric to the lining by 1 inch, and do the same for the other side, lining to lining and fabric to fabric, and stitch by 1 inch. Now join your lower bodice to your upper bodice, and we're going to join this by 1/2 inch all the way around. Now once you're done, you should have the outside looking like this. Now you can trim off this leftover and also make your weaving or overlocking stitch. And once you're done, place your lower body's lining to your upper body's lining and stitch by 1/2 inch at the waist. Now once you're done doing that, the inside should be all neat like this. Mark your zipper seam allowance at your back fabric. Now place your backs together like this, and we're going to take 3 inch down from the waist, and we're going to take our seam allowance down to the bottom, and we're going to stitch from here all the way down. Now once you're done stitching, place your zipper on the lines you made on your fabric, and we're going to stitch. We're going to stitch all the way down right there, and we're going to join this also and stitch all the way right there. Now once you're done sewing your zipper, you should have it looking like this. Now next thing we will do is to drag the lining all the way so as to finish that stitch we didn't sew. Now we will go on and finish that stitch by 1/2 inch, and once we're done doing that, we're going to place our zipper on our zip, the good size of our lining to the good size of our fabric. I am going to stitch right there, very close to the teeth of my zipper. I'm going to place my stitches on my lining right there, and I am going to stitch all the way. As you can see, once you're done stitching, it should be looking like this on the inside. And we will go on and do this for the other lining. Now once you're done, you should hold your linings together right there. Now we're going to hold it from the insides of the lining. We're going to sew right there. As you can see, I have already marked my zipper seam allowance, and we're going to sew it all the way down. Once you're done, it should be looking like this. Now I am going to be using a hard net for the insides so as to give it a more puffy look, and the length I am using is about 14 inches. Now I am going to place this on the lining. As you can see, I will place it and make pleats right there on the lining, and I will do this all the way around. Now once I am done, this is what the pleats are looking like. It will give it a more puffy look, and it will make the dress have a ball shape. Now this is the inside. You can see I stitched all the way around it. So finally we have come to the end of this tutorial, and thank you guys for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Hope to see you in my next tutorial and more tutorials to come. Be good.